Kia ora and welcome. My name is Mark Treadwell, and what we want to do in this video clip is talk a little bit about the future of learning. It's based on the book of the same name, which you can download free of charge from www.marktreadwell.com. Just click the link on the front page there. So, what is the future of learning? Where's this all going? And why are people sort of changing everything in our world at the moment as educators? Well, because why we're making these changes is because everything has changed external to the school. Our young people now are walking into places and spaces where they need a new set of capability sets. They need to be creative, they need to be innovative, they need to know how to learn on the fly all the time. How do we get them to do that? How do we prepare them for that world? So we've identified 8 domains, 4 infrastructural and 4 pedagogical domains. And the 4 infrastructural domains are, first of all, ensuring that our young people have a capability to use the technology to learn. Not to post to Instagram or to Facebook or whatever it might be, but to learn. And learning is a process, which we'll talk about later. But the technology is the gateway to that process. And so they need the technology, and they cannot at the same time be totally reliant on it. So it's a balancing act between the two. So technology for learning is number 1 in our infrastructural elements. Our second one is our pedagogical practice, and ensuring that whatever we do and change, we must test. There's no good actually changing something unless we know it's made a difference. And so we have to make sure it's made a difference. So we have to test that. So we have to do research. So research and pedagogical practice, our second infrastructural domain. Our third infrastructural domain is assessment. Assessment used to be a full stop. You got 52 out of 100. Bad luck, well done, whatever it might be. But that means there's 48 points there missing. What assessment does is it guides the next bit of learning. Okay, so we can actually pick up and make sure that we've got those ideas and concepts in our heads and understand how to apply them to a number of different contexts. So pedagogical practice there, assessment is the third one. Our fourth one is indeed environments for learning. Fantastic. But if we let our young people go into that environment as is, it's going to be a shambles. And we see that as we wander around the world and see these schools we have time with. And they're noisy, people are off task, learners are sort of hiding from teachers by moving around the open space, avoiding the teacher if they possibly can. We need to make sure they are competent to go into those spaces, and that means doing some pre-work before we put them into those spaces. Or if you're in that space already, we need to do some retrospective work in that domain. The competencies allow us to do that, and this is the first of the 4 pedagogical elements we need to put in place. And so we've identified 5 competencies. They begin with a sense of self, a sense of identity. Who am I? And who am I is all about who I tell myself I am. In other words, our self-talk. We've identified self-talk as being an absolutely critical factor in developing self-esteem and self-capability and self-belief. So identity is about understanding self-talk, understanding our cultural nuances that are around us and wrapped around us through family, etc. And it provides us with a baseline. If we have a sense of who we are, then our thinking and questioning changes. And you can't really question without thinking, and you possibly can. You can think without questioning, okay? But we want you to do both. We want our young people to do both. And in this space now, we're expecting our young people no longer to be students. We want them to be learner educators. And we want our teachers to become educator learners. They're big transitions. In anyone's game, that is a huge transition. But these 8 things all underpin both of those sets of transformations. So competency around identity, thinking and questioning, those 2 competencies then allow you to do much better at managing self. Okay? And in open environments, whether it be in the school or whether it be in the workplace, the social place, the play space, whatever space it is, we need to be able to manage self and be cognizant of that. Those three, identity, thinking and questioning, and managing self, allow us then to do something else that is being in huge demand now, and that is collaboration. Working with other people to be innovative, ingenious, applying our mutual creativity, listening to others, talking to others, having conversations, bringing them back to the group, hammering things out, having the difficult conversations. Collaboration, it's a big gig. And finally, our fifth competency is this cultural competency. Our ability now is to understand that people around us have different cultural nuance. They will take things differently in different ways. And almost every space in the world now is a multicultural community. So, our first infrastructural element is technology, second, pedagogy, third, assessment, fourth, environments for learning. Our first pedagogical frame is around the competency. Once we've got competency, then we can start actually building our next capability, which is the ability to understand how to learn. And quite surprisingly, human beings, teachers, in schools around the world, we have taught for the last 200 years with little understanding of what the learning process really was. And did we even give that capability set to our young people so they could learn independently? So the learning process now is critical in terms of understanding, how do I get that knowledge? How do I ask clever, rich, open, fertile, high-order thinking, Socratic questions around that knowledge to build understanding? How do I then take that understanding and make meaning from that by being innovative and ingenious? Because learning now is a creative exercise. It's no longer about remembering knowledge, because knowledge is on my phone. I can grab that in a moment if I need to. But what I need to take that now is take it further. We need to interrogate that knowledge to form understandings and use those understandings to build, through our creativity, innovation, ingenuity. Because that's the fun stuff in life. Remembering stuff is pretty tedious. Doing something with it is pretty jolly interesting. So we need to make that shift. So we need to teach our young people how to learn. As well as being competent, they need to know how to learn. Then we can give them something which everybody wants. The learners themselves, the educators themselves, parents, caregivers, communities, they want our young people to take agency over their world as they go through the schooling system, as they go through their first 10, 12, 15, 18 years of life. In homes and in schools, they're building this sense of agency. But to take agency, you need to be competent. And to take agency, you also need to understand how to learn and what that actually means. So our third domain here is this learner agency. Finally, our fourth domain is the ability to build deep understanding through the learning process, and that means that we're building concepts, not thematic topics, concepts. So we need a conceptual curriculum. We're almost finished that project at the moment, and you'll be able to sort of have a look at that and use it later on in 2018, probably around, I hope, April. We'll have that all finished by. You can send us an email to mark@work.co.nz and we'll send you a sample in the meantime. So our 8 domains: technology for learning, pedagogical for learning. We also want to make sure our assessment drives learning. We also want to make sure our environments drive learning. We also want to make sure that our young people are competent, that they understand the learning process, that they can take an agency and be agentic in that space and place. And we need this conceptually based curriculum around the competencies and around the learning domains. So that's it in a nutshell. So, 10 minutes, that is the future of learning. If you want us to come and work with you, we can do that. We've got schools around the world we've been working with now for about 12 years. We've sort of refined processes, etc. And we're now ready to sort of go out there and get as many schools up and running as possible. And that takes usually about 4 visits a year and a Skype session in between each visit. But if you're interested in that, once again, just give us a call and we will come and talk with you. So, hopefully that was interesting, deeply worrying for some, I'm sure, but that is our future as educators. So have a great day, and I'm going to go down and have a surf. Thanks very much. All the best. Cheers.